President Trump is quickening America's slide towards war with Russia and China, and any further accommodations of Russian can only embolden Vladimir Putin. And the tough talk with China will likely lead to Beijing to test the new administrator's resolve militarily. Good morning. I'm Ed James, and this is Black Almanac. We may learn sooner rather than later if the President can cut a deal to get off the collision course he has put himself on with North Korea. Today's guest, Dr. Lawrence Miller, joins the discussion and dedicates his appearance here to his 90-year-old mother, who passed this past Tuesday. Dr. Miller, glad to have you back again. Are we headed for World War III?
Well, that's a very interesting question. One that normally you would say, well, what is he talking about? The thing here is that we are in such a precarious position as it pertains to North Korea in terms of your audience understanding what has been happening. The fact of the matter is that the president and the vice president, along with his press secretary, have made different provocative statements revolving around North Korea as it relates to them either testing nuclear weapons or taking any kind of action as far as testing ballistic missiles, to view that as a provocation, and that they will do it by themselves if China does not rein the North Koreans in. Mm-hmm. He said he'll do it, we'll take care of the problem ourselves.
It's one thing to be the bully on the block,
right? But
when people have nuclear capabilities,
yes,
it's for real.
There's no question about that. This is not Syria. Yeah. You can't go in and fire off 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles, and the North Koreans are not going to respond. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a peace treaty with North Korea. Mm-hmm. Just a armistice in terms of cessation of military action. But it is one of the most highly militarized places on this planet, the DMZ. Mm-hmm. And, you know, to talk about going ahead and doing this to a country, not only does it have nuclear capability, but it has an ally. Because just because, yes, the United States, quiet as it's kept, could annihilate North Korea by itself. But with China, that's another story. China does not want the United States taking over the Korean Peninsula.
And there is no way to annihilate North Korea without doing the same to South Korea. Mm-hmm. And we have some 50,000 soldiers there.
Yes.
Are we going to say, for the good of many, we sacrifice them?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where the South Koreans, the Japanese, basically you could say all of the Southeast Asia countries have a stake, along with Russia, because Russia's not too far from that Korean Peninsula either. So, you know, it's a very precarious, and your question is apropos, based upon some of the statements that have been made by this president, because we don't know what kind of action he's going to take. He says he's not going to tell anybody what he's going to do. And the other part of it that is very distressing to me is that Congress is like sitting on its hands, and it's not saying one word about, well, speak to us, the American people, speak to us, the representatives of the American people, about what it is that you're contemplating doing.
And some of the things you may be contemplating, you need to come by law to us.
Yes.
And bring us up to date with what you're doing. I realize that he doesn't know what he's doing. The statements last week, but he had a steaming towards South Korea.
Mm-hmm. They were heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they're in the wrong sea.
Wrong sea.
And they were
Yeah.
3,500 miles away
Right.
and getting further away.
Yes.
And then Sean Spicer, the press secretary, he tries to, I don't know if he didn't know
Right.
or tried to cover for his boss.
Yes.
And then the Secretary of Defense got dragged in that too, Mathis.
Yes.
But the problem with that, let's say, I understand the aircraft carrier Carl Vinson, the lead
Yes.
ship in that group,
Right.
along with 4 other warships. But when you tell a lie,
Yes.
because you're telling a lie, or because you don't know
Right.
any better.
Yes.
Now, if they had frightened, for some reason, North Korea, and they thought that they're coming to do something,
Yes.
they're 3,500 miles away,
Yes.
and they couldn't even respond.
Exactly. And the way, President Trump talks in terms of my armada is headed to the Korean Peninsula, or my military. It's not his military. It's not his armada. It is
My generals.
It's my generals. They belong to the people of the United States of America. And the fact of the matter is, you're absolutely right when it comes to credibility. If you're going to say that you're sending these warships to send a message, and they're thousands of miles away, and your credibility now becomes suspect, A, the opposition is going to lose respect. B, your allies are going to say, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
You have no idea where your own ships are.
This past week, they had to scramble jets to intercept Russian bombers
Yes.
off the coast of Alaska. Now, they could just take out Seattle, but that's his good friend Putin,
Yes. It's good friend Putin.
and they're testing him.
Oh, no question. Oh, he's going to get tested, not just by Putin, but he's going to get tested by a number of different actors and those who are not state-sponsored, terrorists, okay? The question is, how is he going to respond to these different acts that happen over at the term of his presidency? Will it be a rational response? Will it be one that's overreach? What will it be? That's the question that a whole lot of people are asking themselves as it relates to this president. And we're not even at the 100-day mark yet with this individual. And so when we think about, as far as Syria, Afghanistan, as I mentioned before, the 59 Tomahawk missiles, and then the mother of all bombs being dropped on Afghanistan, they believe that they are somehow strengthened, that people are now in fear of the fact that this man might use different weapons. And that could be true. But again, it gets back to that same point I made about the Congress. The Congress declares war, not the president. That's part of our Constitution. And so if he wants to go ahead and take action against North Korea, he is required, as you mentioned, to go before Congress and at least get an authorization for the use of force against North Korea, especially if North Korea has not attacked the United States, if they've tested a nuclear weapon. So, here we are trying to make heads or tails as far as this administration is concerned, what it is they're going to do in these various situations.
The Congress of the United States of America has been the most do-nothing Congress in my lifetime. In my life. They don't do anything. They let him do whatever he wants to do, say whatever he wants to say.
Right. And the other thing here with this Congress is that it's acted as a really a blocking technique against President Obama. Now, they had a lot to say back then, okay? But now it's like quietly just acquiescing to President Trump, simply because he's a Republican. Well, at some point, you have to ask yourself, what's in the best interest of the United States of America? Not what's in the best interest of the Republican Party, what's not in the best interest of the Democratic Party, what is in the best interest of the United States of America? Because if we have to put our daughters and sons on the line to be able to go ahead and defend whatever action is being taken,
that
he took
unilaterally,
they should know, we should know.
At the Easter egg roll, that's for children and families. He starts talking about his campaign, what a good campaign he ran.
Yeah.
He is still running for office?
Yeah, he can't get over what happened last year. I think it surprised him, the fact that he actually won.
He can't get over winning.
He can't get over it. But the thing, when you mentioned that, to me, came to mind was the fact that in a published report, they showed a picture of Putin, Michael Flynn, and guess who? Jill Stein.
Okay.
The presidential candidate for the Green Party.
Oh, yeah.
All sitting at a table, okay, honoring Mr. Flynn, okay? And it struck me as, why is a progressive doing at this table? Well, she told the press that it was because the Russian television had run some of her ads or what have you. The thing to me here is that in Michigan and in the state of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, all that were at play, that usually had in the last couple of elections had gone Democratic, now went for Trump by the slimmest of margins. And quiet as it's kept, the number of votes that went to the Green Party, that was a margin of victory.
Victory for Trump.
For Trump. So now when you see that happening, you got to ask yourself, what's going on here?
More recently, in addition to the Russian bit with the planes coming off of our coast.
Yes.
They used to own it, but our coast.
Right.
How many folk know that? And when Congress sees that America is scrambling planes to escort them out of the region.
Right.
What happens when either one of their guys gets a little itchy,
yep,
or one of ours decide to do a loop or something?
Exactly. And they get too close to each other and something happens, maybe even accidentally. But who knows what the intent actually was? You know, and it's not only just the Russians, it's also the Chinese. The Chinese in the South China Sea have built up all these pseudo islands, man-made islands, to act as a way of controlling that thoroughfare, the fishing and everything else that happens in the South China Sea, which affects South Korea, Japan, different countries within that area, such as Thailand and Southeast Asia, Vietnam. The question now becomes the United States sending its armada through there. What if there's a mistake? What if something happens that wasn't intended to happen, happens, and they have to assess on our side whether it was a mistake or whether it was intentional. Was it something to send a message? You know, it's very tenuous over there at this point in time. And I hope that people are really paying attention to what is happening in that region.
And to send a message, I believe, is a mistake.
Yes.
Because you're telling me with your saber rattling, now you get out of line, I'm prepared to take you out.
Right.
And President Trump has said that.
Right.
And if I know you're unstable, in this case, the president has proven he's unstable, I'm going to let you, like the bully on the block, if you got to fight, you try to get the first lick in. I mean, that's the way I was taught.
Yeah.
Don't fight.
Right.
You go and
Yeah.
you be a good kid. You go to school to learn, not to fight.
Right.
But my granddad would say, if you see it coming and there's going to be a fight,
Yes.
you get the first lick in because you're usually in a better position from there.
Right. And the question here now is, will North Korea do that? And if, let's say, he does send us armada right up into the coast of North Korea or the Korean Peninsula, and they do something like set off a nuclear test or something, and they even hear about them putting planes in the air. What would be the response, based upon what you just got through saying, what would be the response of North Korea? And that's the thing that South Korea is really concerned about, because President Trump has talked about putting nuclear weapons in South Korea. Now, you go ahead and put nuclear, which is really unnecessary, right? Because we have the capability of being able to defend South Korea with nuclear weapons if necessary. But God forbid that it would ever happen. The thing here is that you put nuclear weapons on somebody else's soil, right? They're already complaining about this. The Chinese are complaining about this THAAD, this military device that would go ahead and stop missiles that would be coming into South Korea. They're already mad about that because it has a radar system that also goes into China. So here it is, you put nuclear weapons in there. You think the Chinese are going to be happy with that? No, even the South Koreans are not going to be happy with that, because if that provokes the North or China to take action against them, they're the first ones to feel it.
In Japan, they're beginning to go into a defensive posture.
Yes.
You know, to try to stop, because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
In the past, America, as part of the treaty, took care of Japan. And that's something else too, when you're telling folk, we're doing too much for people.
Right.
Well, I think we decided, in some cases, Japan being one, we don't need any more weapons.
Right.
And Japan said, okay, we will not build those kind of standing armies that we've had in the past.
Yes.
The one that came to Pearl Harbor.
Exactly.
You know, and took you out. But you have an obligation to take care of us.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, the masses need to start learning history.
They do. They do.
Because then you'll know what's expected of you, and what, if you do this, you can expect that to happen.
Exactly.
Whatever that is.
Yes.
I don't know.
Let me just say this about South Korea also. South Korea just had its president impeached, okay, and indicted. So there's a lot of political confusion going on there in terms of leadership is concerned. So into a situation like that, you don't add more instability. You try to act as a stabilizing force in the area rather than cause more confusion revolving around the actions that you're taking. So you're absolutely right about Japan and the South Korean Peninsula. South Korea and the Korean Peninsula is a hotbed. It is the test that President Obama told the new president when he first came on board.
Yeah.
this was going to be at the top of your agenda because North Korea is a rogue nation. That's without question. The situation means, what are you bringing to the party? What are you going to do to go ahead and address this situation?
And isn't it interesting that the mother of all bombs was built, we got that technology in 2003. And none of the presidents from the day that we had that up until President Trump came in office used it.
Right.
Now, that tells you something.
Tells you a lot, yeah. Syria is a whole another story. You drop 59 Tomahawk missiles, then walk away. It's so hypocritical to say, I'm going to go ahead and act because of a chemical attack, right? But a barrel bomb is okay for you to blow up your own people. And that's what Assad had been using against his own people, and used it the day after they bombed that airfield. Okay? The other thing here is that you're saying to those same people who are trying to get away from those chemical weapons and those barrel bombs, you can't come to the United States. We don't feel that we can vet you, so you can't come here. So I'm running away from a murderous dictator who's dropping bombs on me, that you will go ahead and say to the world, stop using chemical weapons, but you won't allow me to find shelter in your country? What does that say about what you're really about? What are you trying, the message that you're really sending, besides the one that talks about being able to use force? The United States has all kinds of weapons. We have more weapons than the next 7 developed countries combined. So shooting off weapons is a waste of money, to be honest with you, because that bomb you're talking about was millions of dollars just went down the toilet.
For one.
For just one, right? But the other thing here is that what is your overall policy and strategy as it relates to Syria, as it relates to Afghanistan, as it relates to ISIS? We still haven't heard anything as far as that is concerned. So, you know, it's all these things that we were hoping that, as far as moving forward with our foreign policy is concerned, that we would have an idea that we're on the right track. But we haven't gotten that far as I'm concerned. I haven't heard one speech about strategy and what they're going to do to rid those countries of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the rest of the terrorists that are there.
In this last minute and a half that we have, let's talk about domestic policy.
Okay.
Or no domestic policy.
Yes.
You know, they can't get together to deal with the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Even though everybody on the GOP side said we can get rid of that on day one.
Exactly.
Then they can't get together to do a tax reform. What they do is tell us that, well, we need to do that before we do this. And they haven't done, and now we're almost upon shutting the government down.
And the debt ceiling.
And the debt ceiling. And we don't hear anything.
No.
The news is Donald Trump losing ships, don't know where they are. He's like Columbus sailed the ocean blue to get to America. That's interesting.
Maybe the world is flat.
Must be flat.
We don't know where the ships are.
I don't know where they are, but
let me just say this about, you know, as far as the domestic policy is concerned, you know, when you start talking about all those different things as far as health care and tax reform and these things, the problem is in the Republican Party itself, okay? The Freedom Caucus and the moderates and the establishment, they're all fighting. You know, when you know that you have an enemy, you can all come together and fight, because you don't have anything other than the ability to go ahead out there and fight. But once you've won, and now you got to split up the spoils, Now it becomes a different story because different people are getting to different factions and they say, look, I want my bull to be gored first. Mm-hmm. I want this to be done or that to be done. And they can't get together to make sure that they are acting in a coherent manner as far as governance is concerned.
Well, all I can say, to be continued.
Yes.
The realization of what we've experienced in the election of Donald Trump becoming our president continues to take time for most African Americans to digest. It will probably take longer for most to become comfortable with the thought of him now being our leader-in-chief. During this time of rationalizing the reality of a Trump presidency, we will need to accept the fact that the trust most of us had with President Obama will no longer exist with President Trump, at least in the beginning, as we move away from the still fresh images of the Trump presidential campaign of vitriolic racist hate and ignorance. Given the complete control of the Republican Party now enjoys in Congress, our quest for improved and fairer civil rights, which includes our unlimited right to vote, together with improved job and economic opportunities, educational and health benefits, will surely be threatened, if not possibly drastically reduced. The minority and poor segments of our American society, we fear, are in for a rough and bumpy ride for the next 4 years. And in this dreadful time of uncertainty, we must look inward to our community, as we have done in our past history, to begin to forge and reinforce the voices, strategies, and offenses we will need as we move forward through the unclear environment of this new Trump administration, from his campaign victory to his words of no action. And our history has always taught us, whenever we've had presidents who are not sensitive to our community's important needs, we survive, but we also got stronger. For Black Almanac, I'm Ed James, and that's my final word. Have a great day, Suncoast.
You love your couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0710 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. So call 1-800-943-0710. That's 1-800-943-0710. Call now.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC 7. We're here for you.